The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the podcast belong solely to the hosts and not the host's past, present, or future employers. I think we got it. I think it's going to work. Hey, everybody. This is Bryan, Mr. Boettcher, Miss Berlin, for Breaking Down Security.
Hey there.
Yeah, it's been a minute, y'all.
Reunion episode.
Reunion episode. Well, the holidays being what they are, and I've been doing streaming on Twitch, so it's like it has felt longer when y'all aren't here. But we normally were taking time off in December, like the entire month of December, when we were doing our weekly podcast. So that's okay.
I need to plug in some headphones instead of turning off all my dings.
That's I still have my Slack on, so yeah. I should be simul streaming this on YouTube as well. I've been trying to simul stream things on like YouTube and Twitch, and I tried LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a freaking nightmare. I couldn't get anything to work on that because I don't know why. It's not very user friendly for being a training platform or what have you. So
you could just put the YouTube link on LinkedIn.
I did that for the Golang stuff. I just posted up, hey, Twitch stream, we're doing that. So I'm simul streaming this, I think, on LinkedIn or not on YouTube and Twitch. So, I look forward to, the problem is I can't get the YouTube, UI to show up where it might show the potential chatters that we'll have on there. So, but if you're listening to this with the audio, I apologize. It's been a minute since Mr. Boettcher and Miss Berlin and myself have been here. So just wanted, we're catching up. So yeah. So Miss Berlin, how was the holiday for you? It's been Thanksgiving and I think Christmas. So
busy, very, very busy.
Yeah.
Kids, family, not too much travel.
Nice.
Jobs, buying a house.
Another house, because you want to be a person
real
who
estate
has
mogul.
Right, there you go. You're starting your mogulism. Yeah.
Yes.
You gonna get a real estate license so you can get some tax breaks there?
I thought about it, but that's I don't know. I have a really good realtor. Like, she's one of my really, really good friends. So
yeah, cool. I think you wouldn't get it to buy the house. You would get it to, I guess, run the business, right? So
okay.
You could be considered, like, if you shifted your other jobs to part-time and your realtor job to part-time, or your quote realtor job, you could get tax breaks there because you would be considered in the housing industry or in the housing business. And so you can claim some deductions there.
Oh, very nice.
Maybe if my regular, if I could ever do part-time.
If you could ever do part-time, that's the thing. So that's the stickler there. If you have to do 40 hours or more in your real job,
I do.
Then you can't do it.
Well, your kids get old enough, they could be the people cleaning your house and you could pay them to clean the house. And
there are, the 14-year-old's already going to be the one mowing the lawn. So
there you go.
Yep.
So you had a good holiday. It was nice and quiet.
Yeah, I did.
Nice. Okay. Mr. Boettcher, how about you?
Yeah, I had a great time off. And yeah, looking forward to surviving this next year. With the economy the way it's going and stuff, I think I'm prepared.
Okay. Do you have all your water chips and everything that you need? I'm sorry, that's an old video game reference.
My life straw.
Yeah, your life straws and your Garden of Eden device. Yeah, that's an old Fallout.
Got all my seeds on ice,
There you go. Yeah, the Austin seed bank, is very helpful for that. So, my holiday. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I was waiting.
No, my holiday was pretty good. We have code freeze, technically, where we're not supposed to make any changes to the environment. And our boss was like,
Hmm.
I don't expect you to show up to any meetings. So, put limited availability or something in your calendar. So pretty much the last 2 weeks of, well, probably 3 weeks of December was, you know, everybody, oh, nobody's here for this meeting. Okay, it's a quick meeting, done. And then, you would, I think tomorrow is going to be the first day where everybody's kind of back to work. And so we'll have a ton of people who will be here and available. So work will actually start commencing. Last week was still a short week, and then we'll have a week, and then we'll do MLK, and then it'll be another short week. So
Yeah, we
and then before you know it,
we like closed the whole week between Christmas and New Year.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I think more
okay,
people should do that.
that's nice. You're still
Yeah.
working where you were working before, yeah? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Blue Mirror
So
just shut down. I mean, we still like our support
Monitor.
and stuff still did stuff, yeah.
yeah, okay. No big incident responses to speak of, even though there was a bunch of incident responses in the news to speak of, like LastPass or Circle CI or anything like that stuff.
Nope.
Isn't that
Luckily,
crazy?
no.
Yeah. Either of you used LastPass at all?
Yes.
I'm
I
slowly
do.
trying to move over. It
To
is
what?
not easy.
What do you?
One password.
One password?
Because we
Okay.
get one password free through our account at work. Like you get a free
Right.
like family account with like a corporate account or whatever. And I'm
Right.
paying for LastPass, so I'm like, well, with this shit and the fact that I could save some money,
Right.
just it's just a slow process because I'm going from all of everything in LastPass, including work stuff, to actually separating it all out, and it just takes
Right.
forever.
Yeah, I don't put any work stuff in my one password. I still have that separation. Well, plus I don't have any passwords at work. Everything is on a YubiKey or federated login, so I don't have passwords anymore, which is kind of nice. But I
That's
have
great.
probably 200 to 300 passwords in
Oh
my
yeah.
one password, left over from stuff like, oh, in 2013, you logged into a forum one time and, oh, that one's a
Yep.
compromised password. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Right.
I don't care. Don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been on one password for, I don't know, forever. So I guess I picked the right one so far. So, um, but yeah, I mean, there was a ton of stuff. I think I saw Slack. Apparently somebody had gotten into their private GitHub repos. Circle CI, which is, or is it Circle? Yeah, Circle CI, I think is the name. We actually have some articles that I had put into our notes. Yeah, continuous integration and delivery. Apparently, they had also been hacked or their secrets were stolen inside. Yeah, change all secrets and API tokens now, according to them, as of January 6th. Site-wide security breach of the Circle CI/CD service has left customers potentially compromised. I should be sharing my screen. Yeah, let me go ahead and do that. I'd love to talk about all the shit that I've had to deal with my computer recently, but it would just bore people to death because, they can't see anything that's happening. There we go. And of course, when I'm sharing my screen, everything's black. Yeah, everything's black. Damn it.
For you?
Yeah. Everything.
Oh.
Well, no, see, the overlay is black. So when people are seeing the stream, they're not seeing what they should be seeing. So
Gotcha.
yeah, this was the one. So I yeah. All right, browser. Yeah. Okay, let me grab my browser. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, there's a. Oh, no, that's not the right one. Okay. So I've started enjoying a lot of audiobooks recently. I've been window capture. There it is. Chrome browser. Yeah. New tab, Chrome browser, Circle CI customers. Yeah. Okay. Apologies for my very professional looking UI changes as we're doing them. There we go. I'll kind of just block myself there. There. So yeah, Circle CI to customers, change all secrets and API tokens now. And I will put that one in there. There we go. Added that one. Yeah. So apparently they got completely owned up, left, right, and center. Mr. Boettcher, do you know the link to our Twitch?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Just in case. Oh. I need to, okay, 1 second. So I've had to rebuild everything from scratch on my new Windows box because, of, being completely garbage. There we go. I had to pull the meeting chat out. So, yeah. So there we go. All right. So for those of you on audio, I do apologize. Come join us on our Twitch or our YouTube channel, and you can see all of this as it's happening. So there you go. So yeah, according to Circle CI, they say immediately rotate any and all secrets stored in Circle CI. These may be stored in project environment variables or in contexts. So developers like to store API keys. They like to store AWS session tokens or God knows what else, SSH keys or whatever inside of environment variables. And apparently Circle CI got completely owned up. This is bad news with a capital B for Circle CI's million users. As one user on Reddit put it, F, there goes the rest of my week.
Oh no.
My company deploys several hundred websites through Circle CI, each with their own secrets. Oh, gods. Oh, my God. Yeah. Well, so Circle CI is quick to say, mind, you don't have to put secrets in your code. Or if you do, make them temporary or auto-rotate them.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm not saying it's victim blaming, but there's better ways of doing things. There is a way to do things, and then there is the good way of doing things.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure there's probably use cases to put those hashes in there when you actually controlled the entire environment. But when you've moved everything off to somebody else's computer, you run into those issues. So using things like a key vault, like Azure Key Vault or HashiCorp's Vault, or AWS has a parameter storing system. They also have a hardware key management system called KMS, as a matter of fact. So I mean, there's myriad of other ways you can protect your secrets in your environment without using, some environment variable. And so my thing is, I don't know what the level of effort is to do that. I have no idea. So if anybody out there is watching this on the stream, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the level of effort to move things out of environment variables and into something that's more secure. And if it's worth the time and effort. I mean, there may be a realistic reason for that. So, but all right. So they say, yeah. So this is from Circle CI, the new stack, and they say that. So where's the blog post from them? Let's see. Did they? If your project uses project API tokens, we've invalidated those, and you'll need to replace them. I'm guessing you'll know pretty quick if they invalidated some of your project API tokens. Things will just stop working. Customers can still build their projects on Circle CI service. We're confident that we've eliminated the risk to this incident. Okay, and then the last pass thing, for those of you who may or may not have known and may or may not have been affected. So this is the New York Times. I'll probably get blasted for this one. Nope. Okay, let's go to a different site that isn't New York Times. There we go. We'll go CNET. So apparently the way that they store passwords is different than other password lockers store passwords. Let me put a link. So yeah, this one was bad too. If you are wondering, So we were talking before the show started. Miss Berlin uses LastPass, and she's moving over to 1Password. Mr. Boettcher, what do you use for password manager? You use 1Pass or you use KeyPass or Bitwarden or what have you?
Most of those, yeah. I use
Most
LastPass
of
for
them.
personal stuff and the
Okay.
rest for work. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on Mastodon a bit more now than I am on Twitter, but both sites were pretty much saying, "Oh, it's time to get rid of LastPass." I only use Bitwarden, and I looked at Bitwarden. It's some kind of self-hosted system, very much like KeyPass or something like that.
Yeah.
I've used KeyPass, and it's great. And there's it's okay. I mean,
It's a pain in the butt.
how's it a pain in the how's KeyPass a pain in the butt?
Isn't that the one that doesn't have a browser extension or anything? That's like just a local safe.
Hmm. You might be right on that one. You might be right on that. Let me see if KeyPass has one. I actually don't use the browser extension on them.
I used it about a year ago. It seemed like that's correct. Maybe they have upgraded to a browser since. I don't know.
Just
Yeah.
because I'm lazy. I want autofill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All my stuff.
Apparently
I
they
want to be
do
able to
have one.
share passwords. Like I share passwords with like family members and stuff for that.
Right.
So
Right. It seems like that they've added a browser plugin to KeyPass. The other thing I liked about KeyPass was they actually had like you could when I was using it at CrowdStrike, I was using it for my password locker. They had a file that you could store on your local box and use as kind of like an entropy or like a, not just, the password and your USB key, but it's like you could put a text file on your desktop and then say, well, okay, this is the right password. Oh, and this is the file that will automatically let you know that I am legitimate or who I am. Let me in. The only problem I had with that was I did something where I changed the extension of the file for some reason. And when I changed it
Like
back
ransomware?
and realized it, no, it wasn't ransomware. No, it was like new doc.txt or something. And I was using that to get in. I changed it to like new doc.001 and then tried to use that file after I changed it back to .txt. And the file was corrupted and my KeyPass locker was gone. I could not get back into it at all, which is why I stopped using KeyPass and went to 1Password.
That's not good.
no, I don't know what I would do.
Well, that was just for work, and I only had a handful of passwords, so it was easy enough to get around and get through. But yeah, yeah, it was a rough time. But
I'm just gonna print
thankfully,
them all out.
What's that?
I'm just gonna print all of mine out.
You know what? So there's a lot of folks on InfoSec, Mastodon, and Twitter, and there was one guy I actually kind of took to task with this. They're like, everybody should be using a password locker. And I was like, really?
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, not really.
I disagree.
I completely disagree. For those of us who actually need that, yeah, sure. But as I mentioned on there, you're paying for something that you may have 5 websites you go to. And with the advent of work from home, I can write my passwords down on my little sheet of paper here and get rid of 7 billion potential threat actors, minus my cats and my wife and daughter. And, my mother will never use 1Password. It's the same reason I can't get her to use Signal. I can't get her to use WhatsApp. She just doesn't see any value in it. And I've just kind of given up trying to convince family to adopt security stuff.
If they could turn on two-factor off, that's all I care about. Like that's
right. Even SMS two-factor off.
Yeah, lock their credit.
Just lock your credit.
Yep.
If you're applying for something, they tell you, "Hey, I couldn't look at your credit." Okay, what credit agency do you use? They tell you, you unlock it for a temporary, and they even have like, okay, I want to unlock it for 3 hours, right?
Right.
It's gotten a lot better than it used to be. But anyway, yes, continue with the passwords.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. When I was more militant about security, I constantly was trying to get my mother to use things like Signal or WhatsApp or, use LastPass or use something. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why. I think her threat level was very much, I'm, somebody in the Midwest. I do have a blue collar job. I'm not important enough to own. And I can't, I can't convince her otherwise. Um, um, does your family member, I know Miss Berlin, you said you share with your friends and family. I'm assuming, it's not banking account details, but it might be like, streaming services and stuff that you're sharing those passwords. I mean, what kind of passwords are
No,
you
you're not
sharing with
supposed to do
family
that.
members? Oh, right. We don't share passwords like
We
that,
don't.
folks.
We don't share passwords. No, that's
Streaming
against the terms of
services.
service.
No, that's against, don't share Amazon Prime, kids. Anyway. So you're sharing important things that are not streaming services like banking
Right.
details or whatever. Right?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Which are,
Right.
yes. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense. Comfortable in here. Anyway. Guess it's good I don't work for Netflix, huh? Yeah. Well, I mean, that goes without saying, but yeah, I mean, it's rough because it's like, you got security people out there that just say, everybody needs a password locker. And of course the 1Passwords and the last passwords and the bit wardens of the world are like, yeah, please, we'd like more money. And it's, even if they stuck everything in one password locker and they would secure it with a shitty password, my mother is in her mid 60s and, she works 40, 50 hours a week and most of her stuff is on her phone, and I don't think there's a good use case for password lockers outside of like really hardcore work environments. I mean, unless there's I'm open to suggestions on how, there might be a valuable use case for that.
I mean, I have my kids use them just to save stuff in, just in case. So like they'll still save it in like their Apple ID key vault
Right.
thing, right?
Okay.
I think maybe if you go back and forth between PCs and mobile devices,
Right.
I mean, it's easier that way.
Right.
But if they're just using one device and it's always in the same place, like my mom, right? She only uses her laptop to log into things and she's always at home in the same place doing it.
Right.
So
right.
For her, there's not really any need.
Yeah.
But like my kids, like I'm like, well, you can keep your social security number in there. You can keep, your credit card number in there. You
Right.
can keep that kind of stuff in there and not have to store that in something else.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, don't store your credit card in shady online ordering
Right.
things, right?
Yeah. And I think that's the bigger issue with the password lockers now. They do so much more than store passwords. I've got credit card information in mine. I've got password information. I've got driver's license, IDs, pictures. Yep. It has literally become a dumping ground for all of your PII. And I don't know if LastPass didn't see this coming, but the way I understand it with the LastPass thing is you can make backups, or backups are being made on LastPass's like site and server. So like Miss Berlin's using LastPass, there's like 10 backups on her site, all with the password that she originally used to make the encrypted, vault, if you will. She may have changed the vault password last week, but the 10 other backups of her stuff is stored with the old password until they get overwritten or what have you. The problem is the bad guys have this vault, the old vaults with the old passwords. If the passwords get broken, then they still have access to your passwords. Whether or not you've changed it and made it a new password, they still have access to the old stuff. So they apparently some of this happened in August, but then it got much worse on that. So, but yeah, it's rough. So, like Miss Berlin said before the podcast, she's slowly changing all of her passwords. How many passwords do you have in your vault, Miss Berlin? And as a follow-up question, how many of them are the same?
Very few are the same because I use password generation constantly.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
I almost and not only are like the passwords all different, all of my security questions are also stored in there.
Right.
And answers because all of those are random
yeah.
characters.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So if I have like, what's your preferred pet's name? It's AYUIOP 892 dash whatever. Right. Like I have all of those stored in there. I don't know. Like Slack, I think is probably like Slack and Discords because I always use the same username and password for every Slack account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will tell you, I'm a bad InfoSec person. When I first started using 1Password, I had some passwords that were the same, and so as I was told by Watchtower, which I think is 1Password's deal for letting you know if a password is bad or weak. They tell you, oh, this site's been compromised. You should probably change the password. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's the forum that I visited in 2011 one time, and I just don't give a shit. So delete that one. But Miss Berlin,
they'll also tell you if you have the same password between accounts. They'll let you know.
Yeah.
Right. That still happens to me more than a few times, but I'm getting better at that. I'm slowly moving mine over as well. But Ms. Berlin, you were right about the security questions. I have security questions in mine. I also have backup codes. So like my GitHub backup codes are in there for 2FA. I think 1Password will even store the seeds for your 2FA like authenticator apps and stuff. So, I mean, it's truly a single point of failure. If your LastPass or your 1Password has a really simple password for that vault, they have more than just your, they have everything. They have your entire life. I mean, I have my passport photo in there. I have, other documentation. Anything I could scan. Technically, I could scan like medical records and stuff from when I was in the Navy and put all of that stuff up in there, documents, everything. It literally has become a dumping ground.
Hundreds. I probably have more than 300.
Right. Yeah.
And I guess when you create an account or change your password to those vaults, go way more than the minimum. Because if these things are stolen, the crackers are going to try and crack the minimum password, which might be 12 characters. So they'll just say, okay, I'm gonna just start with 12. I'm gonna try and hash that, and they'll get cloud computing, quantum computing, whatever it is at the time, and go after that. So go way above that minimum.
Right. One thing that I did and still do for a while is I will take a line from a book. So like,
Catcher in the Rye.
I'll pull out one of the old classics here, and I will go, I'll pick a spell, like, oh, here's a druid spell, notes regarding druid spells. So it'd be like animal friendship. So I could, my password would be animal friendship or something like that. You could do that. You could find a famous book, Call Me Ishmael or something like that. Or you could pick a line from that or something where you're actually picking a phrase, give me liberty, give me death or whatever.
Yeah. One thing I used to do is I would have a word or like a phrase or whatever. And then I would pick all of the consonants or all of the vowels. Nice. From whatever the website was.
Right.
Right. And then add that on
to. Yeah. You just. Just a recipe.
Yeah, just a bunch of freaking recipes in here. Yeah, I actually did get. So last Christmas we got my wife got Danny Trejo's book, Trejo's Tacos. This Christmas she got me Snoop Dogg's. cookbook.
Nice.
So we're going to try
Nice.
some of those things, except the problem is
Yeah.
she's gluten intolerant and I'm trying to stay away from carbs. So the first picture I show up with is like biscuits and gravy. So I'm like, okay, well,
Biscuits and
gonna have
gravy
to make
sounds
some
so good.
Snoop Dogg's biscuits and gravy, I guess. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
also am attempting to stay away from carbs. I have had no, other than like a tomato or peppers or whatever, like actual vegetables.
yeah.
I've had no carbs for today's day 5,
Yay! Awesome, awesome. So
and
let
I've
me ask
already
you
lost
something.
8 pounds.
Are you doing sugars
Mm.
like soda and
I'm
stuff?
eating sugars. Mm-mm,
No. Okay.
mm-mm.
Very nice. Well done.
No, the only fake sugar I've had is the little Mio stuff that I squirt in my water.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, be careful with that stuff starting out because apparently if you're trying the keto thing, it works differently for you non-male types.
It does.
Because estrogen likes to hold on to the fat is what I've been
Oh
told.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So it is less effective than, because me, I lost 60 pounds at the same time my
That's
wife.
how I lost 60
Yeah.
pounds with keto last time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm trying to get rid of the 20 pounds I gained during COVID and the holidays.
Yeah. I'm actually trying to get back to working out because when we moved to San Diego, Speedo weather is pretty much year round. So I want to make sure my banana
Yeah.
hammock is tight and stuff. So I'm sorry if you have to explain to your kids what a banana hammock was.
What a banana
Sorry,
hammock.
kids. Yeah, banana hammock. So yeah, no, I probably will try to go back to an actual gym when I get to San Diego, but yeah, it's good times. So
Yeah, I counted. I have about 400 passwords.
wow.
Entries. I have about 400 entries in my
Dear
password.
God. Yeah.
A lot of these I think
Yeah.
I could probably. I wish it would tell you. Well, I guess it
Right.
doesn't necessarily always know, but like ones like I
Yeah.
want to save at least all the ones that I've used recently.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah.
If you haven't used one in 10 years, probably a good
Yeah, like
candidate
some of
for
those.
deletion.
Yeah, some of
Yep.
those sites may not even exist anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did the
Right.
same thing with my bookmarks. I have like a couple thousand bookmarks and I was like, man, some of these sites even exist anymore. So I'm like going through several
That's the
dozen
thing.
folders.
I rarely use bookmarks anymore either.
I know.
Right? Like I used to have, and I still have some of them, like folders upon nested folders of just
Mm-hmm.
stuff, like stuff
Yeah.
saved. I just Google stuff now. Like if it's
Yep.
just, or I
Yeah.
have it memorized, or I have a website memorized. Like,
Well, see, I'm voracious because, we've done the podcast. We're going on our 9th year now. So when an interesting news article would come up, I would bookmark it. Or, an interesting hacking site, I would bookmark it.
yeah.
So a lot of my stuff is like some evergreen topics, but I have like a hacking games, which has just a bunch of games talking about like, you have Regex Golf and Over the Wire, auditing site, hack this site, and I've gone through some of these on stream where it's like, going through these various sites that still exist and are basically, playing hacking games, coding games, etc., exercises, or just interesting news
Mental,
topics.
yeah.
And I have one called Podcast Topics, which has about 200 links in it right now. How to become a data scientist. There you go. There's one.
Speaking of games, did any of you do the KringleCon holiday hack stuff?
Oh, no.
No,
I did not.
I did it the most I've ever done it this year.
really.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
How'd that
I was
go?
trying to like, it was a really fun. There was a couple of things that I definitely did not know how to do because it was like you had to know how to read JavaScript or Java. I don't know, one of the two. Like look and see how what the website was doing, and I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So I did like the Windows Event one and Suricata and packet capture stuff, and that was all easy.
Nice.
And then I was going to do some cloud stuff, but then I ran out of time, and the actual holiday showed up. So,
Yeah.
but it was a lot of fun. It's the most I've ever done it.
Yeah. There was a lot of them out there. There was an Advent of Code one thing I think was fairly popular in our Slack channel and our Discord channel. The Sans holiday conference one, and there was a couple of others that I saw that were that were going on at the same time. So, yeah, I
That's
don't
fun.
have those. I would have done them, but I don't hack anymore. So there it is. I'm a filthy manager now. I just manage the awesome technical people, and they make me look stupid. So it is what it is. I mean,
Right.
it's okay. I hadn't used Burp in so long. I installed it at work thinking, oh, I'll just get right back into this. Freaking UI changed on me. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what is this? Where's my old Burp? I was like,
Yep.
ugh. I was like, damn, okay, well,
Yeah, I had to do
shows.
stuff in IIS the other day, and I'm like, oh man,
Oh,
I don't remember how to do any of this.
yeah, that's, ugh,
How do I find
good
the
Lord.
website? I don't understand.
Um, speaking of which, I actually set up my own personal website with GitHub pages. I know we did that with the IEF, the InfoSec
Hmm.
Education Foundation, which rip, rest in
They're
peace.
hard. I
Um,
think GitHub pages are hard.
GitHub, no, they're not hard at all. Really the hardest part was getting the DNS sync between GoDaddy and GitHub. Um,
Hmm.
Once I did that, it was just you set a template and do whatever you want. I mean, I've got, if you go to
No, I had such a hard.
bryanbrake.com, you know,
Oh, I had such a hard time doing it.
yeah.
I don't know
So
what
I
I was
set it
doing
up
wrong.
right at the same time I was, um, damn your hide. There we go. So yeah, I mean, these are some of the the bibliography from my Harvard business class I was doing. I've got to format it and do some stuff with it. But I also did there was another thing I did to I put in my Mastodon verification. So I had to
Yeah,
verify
I see
myself
that.
on Mastodon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's super fast. It's got TLS on it. It costs me nothing to set up, and it just runs in GitHub, so I can edit the pages in VS Code and commit and sync. So I'm actually doing a lot more developer stuff than I ever thought I would be doing. I'm learning how to use Git. I'm doing Markdown, committing and inside of VS Code. Just started the Golang stuff on our Twitch stream here last Friday. So we'll be going through some tutorials on learning Golang, which is kind of interesting. Mr. Boettcher, let me ask you a question. So this is along the lines of the Golang stuff. Um, the reason I started learning Golang was because I'd heard that it's the new malware du jour, the way that people are now moving towards malware. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you know this answer, great. Do you have any insight as did I read that and it's complete bullshit, or are people actually using Rust and Golang and stuff instead of, good old fashioned code that they were using it before?
Well, they're going to use whatever is more convenient for them. It's like Golang may be more of a platform independent, sort of like Java.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know years ago they were using Java, but unfortunately you had to install the Java language.
Right.
Fortunately for them, Java could be the entire language could be packaged um, in a binary, and with Golang you can extract binaries from that
Mm-hmm.
that'll run on um,
Yeah.
uh, Windows computers, right?
Right.
So I don't. By the time I see it, I'm not sure if it was packaged in Golang or not,
Right.
right? So I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
So when I was reading through the Go introduction on W3 schools, they're like, it's cross-platform open source programming language. So I when you're compiling on something like Windows, one of the things that Python, brought out was you could compile binaries, exes for Windows. If you had the right tool chains and things in there. For Go, it's like I type Go build, this Go script, and it turns it into an exe file, which the next thing I should have done during my class, during my tutorial that I was doing was, hey, I should open this in a debugger or some kind of decompiler to, see what it comes out of, which I'll be doing in the future. But yeah, so the other thing I learned about it was it's statically typed or whatever. It's everything is kind of included, so it's not having to live off of
Yeah,
DLLs as our good friend Walt
that's
was
right.
telling me
So
during
as
the
a as a malwarean, a hacker, that's the last thing you want is for the victim to get a pop-up and saying, hey, you need to install this DLL
Right.
so that
Right.
my malware can run, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything should be packaged statically, which increases the size, obviously.
Right. Yeah. Well, okay. So the size was the other thing that got me. I was like, I was reading about that and I forget where the site was. I'll have to go look it up. But it was um, the larger the size, a lot of EDRs and AV vendors will tend to bypass it because it's larger than what they expect a typical malware file to
Yeah.
be. Um,
Yeah. Like
yeah.
I think Virus Total, at least the free version, when you upload a file, they've got a size limit. And I thought it was larger than, what would you say, 2 meg?
Yeah.
Check that
Yeah.
out.
Well, like the Hello World I wrote was like 2 megs in size.
Yeah, that's large.
Yeah. So yeah, here's one from Kaspersky. I don't know if it's a Go one, but they said the size of it was like 10 megs and it was um uh bypassing it due to size or what have you. Um
Yeah, because if you think about it, it takes a lot longer to analyze statically,
right.
to do a static analysis on a larger binary.
Hmm.
And since antivirus, prides itself on not hosing your computer,
Right.
by doing all its checks, um, uh, has to bypass those
Right.
larger files.
Right. Okay. Actually I can show that screen. Let me pull this one up. So it's behind. Oh, there we go. All right. I'll have everything straightened out, in a couple weeks. We're working on a new template here because it's one of the things I was trying to organize things for show notes. Um, but I want to ask a couple of questions that are in there or subtopics. Mr. Boettcher, what do you think was the biggest story of 2022?
For security,
Yeah.
Log4j.
Did that happen? That
Is
happened
that
like the
one?
beginning of the year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might have been Log4j. That
Okay.
was a big
Right.
deal when it came out. It was mass spread, affected
Yeah.
So
the
much.
majority of companies, I want to say, at least in the software realm,
Did
and
it?
maybe the majority of companies in general, because most companies have software, right? And
Right.
that software would have been affected typically. So yeah, it's pretty huge.
Right.
I thought it was a really big deal.
Right. Did it? Do you think it made it more plain? Because it seemed like right after that there was a lot of ads that came out for supply chain security stuff, and I've actually seen more than a handful of jobs now at some companies dealing specifically with like people who will track dependencies or supply chain items. So, do you think that Log4j was kind of like the thing that lit the house on fire, or do you think that it was always coming? It was just that was just
Yeah,
yet
I
another
think it
symptom of the
probably
problem.
just spread it, sped it up
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, yeah, because
Okay.
if
I
it
mean,
wasn't that, it would have been something else.
and that
Right.
was so big that like non-security people were talking about it. Like I had
Yeah.
people send me articles like, "Hey, do you know about this?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like a
Yeah.
lot of people knew about that.
Hmm. Miss Berlin, how about you?
I was gonna say the same thing.
Oh, okay. Um, mine's a
Yeah,
little more.
so
Go ahead.
uh, 2 meg is pretty big. LogMD full version is less than 2 meg.
Right.
So
Um,
yeah, that's pretty big.
malware size. I'm trying to find the article. Evades EDR. I'm trying. Yeah, I was trying to find the article I was reading on that. Maybe it was apocryphal or what have you, but yeah, I thought I had read something where they said that was a way of people were bypassing the size of that. Maybe it's because Virus Total has upload limits, like you said. Maybe there was another reason for that. So, um, I don't know if my 2022 is probably run up to the war in Ukraine, and a lot of the stories that we're seeing coming out about the malware and attacks on Ukraine's infrastructure, counter attacks, cyber attacks on Russian infrastructure. There was even discussions about satellite terminals being hacked. I think when the first days of the war started, Musk had sent over some Starlink terminals, and there were satellite terminals and satellite comms that were being hacked, which kind of is a new frontier. I think I saw an article the other day about there's a framework for hacking, NIST has implemented a framework for satellite security.
Oh.
And yeah. Let me go. I posted that somewhere. I think it was in the GRC channel in our Slack, on our Discord. Let me see. Where is it? No, it had to have been in Slack. I think I put it in the GRC on our Slack. Yes. Space race. Defenses emerge as satellite-focused cyber attacks ramp up. Here's a link here. It was a dark reading article, but I think NIST has created a framework based on attack matrix for threats that are doing that. The goal of the framework is to better understand not only potential threats in terms of traditional TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures, but also are applied to the space sector, but also to help companies and government agencies create countermeasures against attacks targeting satellites and spacecraft. That goes beyond ICS used to be what we would consider like the bleeding edge of like trying to get security to work, but this is a whole nother thing. So, but yeah, so what's the NIST? They say they created in October the Space Attack Research and Tactics Analysis Sparta Matrix, a version of the MITRE ATT&CK framework applied to threats against space-based infrastructure. So you, Ms. Berlin, your TDPs and what you're looking for is going to get that much bigger, right?
I don't even know where to start logging that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to have rovers. We're going to have, we're going to have to protect, because eventually, depending on who you talk to and, which figurehead you're listening to, we could have a Mars station in 2027, that kind of thing. We'd have people on Mars living in 2027. And all we need is somebody to send a signal from Earth, being a dumbass, to Mars, please give us 10 Bitcoin or we're going to open up all your airlocks,
Yeah.
And, there's no, they have so many redundant backups, but it's still code and it still has vulnerabilities in it. And, I would hate for the version of Roanoke here in the new world, if you will, to be, all disappear because of a virus, not so, but yeah. Just an interesting story there I read about that. But yeah, so I was just thinking
it hasn't been like a movie or some kind of episode of something.
Well, there was a movie with there was a movie with Gerard Butler called Geostorm, which was really not a very good movie. But it was So am I your audio sounded a little odd. I don't know if it's me or if it's someone else.
No, it's fine.
Okay. I'm going to hope it's fine. If any of our listeners or people watching the stream can tell me if I'm just, out of my gourd, just let me know if,
I can switch microphones.
No, it's okay.
You sounded fine to me. I don't know.
It's me.
Okay. All right.
You're just crackling a little bit, and it might be me. So I'm just going to suck it up and move. But so
I'm just going to have to unplug and.
Well, okay, it's Bluetooth, so
yeah,
it's the same dumb brain that's hearing that. So yeah, actually, I'm hearing it from both of you now, so it's got to be me.
Okay.
It might be a weak battery or something. I don't know. But yeah, it was a satellite cluster, and it was modifying the weather on Earth and stuff, and they got a virus, and they were playing around with the roles-based access control on that thing, and I hated the security controls on there because it's Hollywood security controls. So, the president must give a retina scan or the place will blow up. Whoa, and it's kind of thing. Of course, and they did it in 2 seconds. So, it's what it is. Yeah. But yeah, it's just an interesting place that we're heading. You've got U.S. Space Force and you've got, other space-based organizations. There's going to be, T-Mobile's just paired up with a satellite constellation. I think they're trying to work with Starlink to have global cell phone coverage. So, I mean, at some point we're all going to have, always on, always everywhere, communications with satellites. And, if a virus takes down half the satellite cluster, that's going to disrupt global communications. So, that could be a major deal. So, that's kind of what I saw. I mean, the war in Ukraine was awful, and it continues to be awful. I'm hoping it ends very soon. But from a technology point of view, we're definitely seeing a new outlet for these things. Not just kinetic attacks on satellites. It's going to be owning up the satellite and maybe sending all that data down to some other country or something like that. So, but anyway, good discussion. Let me go and see what other things we have here. I walked 5 million steps last year.
I saw that.
5 million steps. I finished. I needed 20,000. My base rate was about 13.9 thousand steps a day.
Good.
So yeah, the problem was the 23rd of December, we ended up getting like the ass fell out of the sky and we had 1.5 feet of snow and ice and slush. And I tried to get out there. Problem was, the ice was about an inch thick on top of the snow. So it was like, I was just sliding around and there's no way I was going to get my count. And I wanted to do it before Christmas. And I had 20,000 steps I needed on Christmas Eve to get that, and managed to, not be ugly enough outside that I could get out and get my steps. So yeah, I ended up with, I think 5.1 million or 5,100,000 steps or something like that at the end. So, took a long time and it took a lot of effort, and I promised myself I won't do that again this year because it's probably not a good thing. So Google's Threat Horizon report. I figured since both of you like, threats, not to yourselves, but I mean to, TTPs and things, they released.
It was weird.
What, the PDF? It came out this year. Threat Horizons report.
Oh no, I got that one. There must have been another link that I clicked on.
Oh, yeah, it might have been another one here. Here's a link.
The one underneath it. The one underneath the PDF. But yeah.
This was a discussion from Security Boulevard, I think, helping to analyze it in some way.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, Anton Chavakin, who is a known quantity in the InfoSec space, did a 5-part blog post on the Horizons report. So that's and of course it's got pop-ups.
I asked him on question on Twitter and didn't really get an answer that I was hoping for.
What kind of question?
Yeah. Wanted to know if there was any kind of research out there about like actually implementing SIMs. Like, I can't find anything that isn't vendor crap.
Right.
That says on average it takes some, like, a small to medium, really any size business, on average it takes, this sector or this size business or whatever, this many people hours, this many, this much percentage of their whatever, or this much time, or there's no real like statistics on that stuff.
Right. What's the level?
And not
of
just SIMs, just like next gen firewall, like EDR, migrating to the cloud. And I didn't see anything out there for something like that. Because everything's either going to be from a vendor trying to make themselves look good,
right?
Or like, I don't know, maybe Gartner did something. I don't know. Like,
well, you would think that would be a selling point. You'd think it'd be a selling point for an organization. It's like, look, this report said it takes 25 hours for the average SIM. We're 2 hours and we're done. So it's like, yeah, or maybe yeah, it seems like those are missing metrics. I mean, you would think it
Mm-hmm.
would be something that an independent organization like a Gartner or
Yeah.
a Forrester or
Ugh.
something would put out. It's like, this is, they're in the upper right corner because its ease of use is set and setup is so much better or something like that. Or, you can, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like a missed opportunity, but,
It's gonna be some
I,
grad student out there that's done it as their um whatever it's called. They're like
well, that'd be a lot of sims
Their
they'd have to set
masters
up, right?
yeah, like their
Yeah.
master's
thesis.
project. Yeah, thesis. Thank you. Thesis.
That would be a lot
Well,
of expensive sims.
It really, I mean, it depends on the leadership involved, the personnel. I
Mhm.
mean, I had been using one type of sim for the last year and a half, and then I had to move back to Splunk for something just
Oh, okay.
real short. And I was like, how do I do this again? Because you get confused
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, whenever you said a specific sim, I was like, does it rhyme with dunk or, but then you
Yeah.
said Splunk. So, yeah. I think maybe there's not a good way of measuring that because it would also depend. There's quite a bit of change that has to happen in an org. There's, like you said, Mr. Boettcher, there's management, there's, just getting those changes in place.
Well, there's
And then there's like the
documentation too.
quality, yeah, and the quality. Like,
yeah.
sure,
Exactly.
maybe you say it took a week to implement,
right?
But like,
is it usable?
I've got undetermined amount of servers that I need to find, figure out what they are.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
upgrade them.
Right.
Nobody
right.
knows. Nobody knows what their asset management is like 0%.
Right.
And so that could take years.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Haven't you heard asset management's old and busted? We don't worry about that anymore. That's fine.
No. Okay.
Yeah. It's all good. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all in the cloud, and they take.
See, these are great hot takes that I
Cloud
see
takes
on
care.
Mastodon. I see these on Mastodon now, and these are all the hot takes that people are, pushing out there, along the lines of, oh, everyone needs a password locker. And I was like, well, how many passwords do you need for a password locker? And they're like 2. And I'm like, okay, so 1 account and 1 password for the password vault. And that's 2. And didn't answer me back. I actually think that, yeah, Mastodon needs some kind of moderation or some kind of algorithm to parse that shit out, or, it's hard to hit block and mute too much. People abusing hashtags and stuff over there. So, let's go see one more thing. Hacking, a hacker monitors cars and can kill engine GPS. So, Vice motherboard article: hacker finds he can remotely kill car engines after breaking into GPS tracking apps. And there's a pop-up.
Yeah, that's great.
What's everybody think about that one?
What kind of GPS tracking app?
I'm assuming it's any car with a GPS in it. I skimmed over a little bit, so
yeah, it's like fleet management. Right. So one is iTrack and one's ProTrack.
Okay.
Right.
Protractor. Yeah, that's like South Africa, Morocco, India, Philippines. Or yeah, I'm assuming they're tracking like trucks and ships and stuff like that to track for their like fleet of vehicles.
And so the tracking system is hooked up to the engine?
Yes. Well, it says on some cars the software has the capability of remotely turning off engines of vehicles that are stopped or are traveling 12 miles per hour or slower, according to the manufacturer of the GPS tracking devices. So yeah, I mean, it seems like they can interrupt the vehicle operation, kind of like a remote kill switch on a car. Was it LoJack? You could my Tesla has a kill switch in it. Tesla probably can kill my car that way. Probably any of the newer cars with the GPS on it, or has LoJack or something automatically built into it. So apparently, though, he said by reverse engineering the Android apps, L&M, who the hacker's handle is, said he realized all customers were given a default password of 123456 when they signed up. So
Yay.
easy 6-character password can be broken less than half a second. Well, probably a millisecond. And yeah, he said he brute forced millions of usernames via the app's API. So it's along the lines of, sends the email, oh, sorry, that account doesn't exist. Sends the email, oh, that one does exist.
And I like that Protrack denied the data breach, but
Of course they
confirmed
did.
that it's confirmed that they're prompting their users to change their passwords.
Yep.
And the quote is, "Our system is working very well, and change password is a normal way for account security like other systems. Any problem? Question mark.
Yeah.
What's more, why you contact our customers for this thing, which make them to receive this kind of boring mail? Why hacker contact you?" Wow. Wow.
Yeah. That's and I don't know if that's I don't know where they're located, but it sounds like they were talking to a customer
English
service
is
rep.
not their first language.
That, and you wonder who actually owns the company, because if it's a Chinese company who is actually known for wanting mass surveillance or GPS access like this, it's obvious it's not a U.S. based company. So their thought and their threat process here, their threat management and risk management is not typical of a U.S. company in some respects. I look forward to your anger and your email. Don't worry. But yeah, so it's unfortunate that, is it Sylvia? Was this, who wrote this article? This was Franceschi Bisharai, I think is his last name. So yeah, he was able to track cars all over certain countries. I don't know if he checked all the countries, but they have a stop engine. They have a feature. The apps have a feature called Stop Engine. Okay, so yeah, it's similar to what I have on my phone for my Tesla app. If I see the cars not being ran, or if it's in a certain distance away, you'll get notified, or I can see where the location is on there. And if I said, hey, my car was stolen, then they could remote kill the system. So it's in the Captiva app, I think. So, yep. So, yeah. Let me see. Something similar. I guess Twitter has had, I don't know if they can call it a data breach, because they just queried an API, but there was the Twitter 200 million at. I can't call it a data breach, right? Because they queried an API, right? That's the way I understood it.
Isn't it still a data breach if data is exfilled?
Well, did they do anything to gain access to the API outside of querying it? If you can query an API publicly, that's not a breach. That's making you can enumerate users that way. So criminal
account data, account details of 200 million users leaked.
So maybe a data leak, not a data breach.
Well, did they do anything wrong by querying the API?
Everyone has a different version of what's moral. So it depends on who you ask.
I mean, they used web scraping software to search the internet for publicly available email addresses. So they're publicly available. And then they were able to correlate the email addresses and IDs of 100 million Twitter users using the API.
And then what?
So he used a publicly accessible data set and made a query to an API. Is there anything illegal there? I know it sucks. I'm sorry. There's definitely things Twitter could be doing. Well, they could be doing a lot of shit, but they're not. Rate limiting would be at a minimum what they could do to make it, not worth somebody's time to pull 220 million records. I mean, there are things they could do on the API side. I know Miss Berlin's silence is it would be the same kind of silence that my mommy would give me when I know I done bad. So that silence is just like, I'm so disappointed in you, son. I'm so disappointed.
I don't know.
It's wrong. Is it
Yeah,
wrong?
I'm not. I mean, I'd need more data because it says scraped via a vulnerability.
I
What
mean,
vulnerability?
I wouldn't do it if we're gonna talk about like
No, I agree.
right? Like, I mean, I wouldn't do it, but is it
So
illegal? I don't know if it's illegal or not.
so
There's a lot
Mr.
of things I
Boettcher,
wouldn't do that might not be illegal.
According to where did the data come from? It dates to 2021 when they discovered a flaw in Twitter systems. The API vulnerability enabled them to input email addresses or phone numbers to confirm whether they were associated with the Twitter ID. That makes it sound like this should be. So they were able to use a vulnerability in the API to allow them to write or to query an API. So there must have been a vulnerability somewhere that allowed them to query an open API, or instead of, it sending the data.
I think it says, well, underneath that, they were able to put in an email address that they already had and verify that it was actually a Twitter account or that the email address was associated with the Twitter account.
Yeah.
Like by the way that the system responded.
Right. So I took an email address, I queried this API. The API sends back an information saying user ID 117. Yeah. This user ID doesn't exist. Or
that's what it would say. Does exist or does not exist.
Right.
And that sort of
thing.
They
were able
so you'd query it 7 billion times, everybody in the world, and then you'd get back 400 million or something like that.
Yeah.
Positive hits.
So
yeah.
I mean, there's I just read today that there's 4.5 million people using Have I Been Pwned.
Wow.
So the problem with the article, they mentioned it was like anonymity. Some people are using, address to hide their anonymity. And this basically ties them to a specific email address, which may be a bad thing.
Does it tie the email address to a specific account, or does it just tie the email address to a Twitter user?
Yeah, to a user. So somehow they figured out how to tie those email addresses and pseudonyms together.
So that they tied it to the Twitter account. So they have a Twitter account and an email address, and they know that the two are linked, or they just know that the email address is associated with a Twitter account. Don't know which one.
Yeah. So they said verified accounts with large, let me see, where do they say? Browsers combine this with. So for many people, they could be easily identified by their email address, particularly if they use their name or the name of their business. This could be troublesome for celebrities or other high profile figures. So they have the email addresses from public records. And if it says Scarlett Johansson at gmail.com, and you find out that Scarlett Johansson at gmail.com also registered that Twitter account, but the handle is something like,
registered a Twitter account.
Registered a Twitter account. Yes, it doesn't have to be Scarlett Johansson. Right. It could be at Sky is Blue. And, they may be trying to keep their anonymity by saying, Scarlett Johansson at Scarlett Johansson is the real one, but Sky is Blue is her like alt account. And it seems like the way that this article was written, and you can read about it in our show notes, that those accounts, somebody did some bad OPSEC and put the same account on both of those accounts. So you could, get back that information and figure out, who was who.
Yeah. So if it would have linked the two accounts, the email and the Twitter, they would have said that in the article. So they're making you think that they're leading you on, right? I don't think it links the accounts. It just says, yes, this is a valid Twitter user based on the email address, right?
Yeah.
That's a vulnerability. Is it a data leak? I mean, that's a gray area. It just verified that email address is linked to Twitter.
Right.
And then you can surmise that's the email address of that person. And then you
Yep.
can, as an attacker, send phishing emails and say, hey, your Twitter account, blah, 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 and try to get them social engineered, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So another article from NBC 29. I don't know where the hell this is. Oh, it's out of Charlottesville, Virginia. It's part of the AP article. They're quoting the AP article. They said, making millions vulnerable to having their accounts compromised or identity exposed if they've used the site anonymously to criticize oppressive governments, for instance. And then down at the bottom, it's here, like, people who use Twitter anonymously should have a Twitter dedicated email address that does not disclose who they are and is used solely for Twitter. So the millions of people talking and trying to criticize oppressive governments apparently use their real names at gmail.com for their anonymous accounts.
Well, that's just a terrible idea.
What am I supposed to do? This goes back to the password thing. If it was important enough, they would store it in a password vault. Yeah. Or they should create another email. I mean, we see it all the time. I mean, I get Slack invites from people who use their work email addresses. And I'm like, don't do that, bro. One, if you leave the company, you're not getting back into your Slack. And two, I don't need to know who you work for. If it was like Nazis for Wisconsin.com email address, I'm like, yeah, you're not going to join our Slack. That kind of thing. So, yeah. I'm sorry to all the Nazis who are not in Wisconsin, and I'm sorry if you're in Wisconsin and you think there's Nazis there. So there we go.
There's Nazis everywhere.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's an OPSEC thing, right? Or if it was important enough that you were worried about, you just didn't think about Twitter, sending out your email address. So, but that is what it is. I'm going to put the NBC 29 article in there because it was better than the one that I'd found originally. So, okay. Cool. Well, before we go, because we're at an hour 12, but we're only doing these every 2 weeks now. So that's another kind of a big announcement. Instead of trying to do a weekly thing, which we really hadn't done for a while, we're just going to kind of commit to every 2 weeks, and we'll just kind of keep it longer. There's no reason why we can't. So you've got 2 weeks to listen to us. And we'll still have interviews and stuff like that. I'll have some people and I'll be doing things on my Twitch, but the official podcast will be independent kind of the Twitch. So that way Mr. Boettcher and Mr. Berlin feel like they don't have to show up at 3:00 Pacific time with me, to talk about Golang or what have you. So, yeah. So, hopefully I'll get this out by, this evening, or early tomorrow. Ms. Berlin, you've got some training coming up soon.
Yeah, I'm training, doing a workshop at Code Mash, which is a developer conference.
Okay.
And it's convenient because it's at an indoor water park that's like a 20-minute drive for me.
Is that Great Wolf Lodge?
It is not. It is Kalahari, which is down the street from Great Wolf Lodge.
Okay.
And much better.
I'm hoping it is. I went to Great Wolf Lodge, and all I remember is the chlorine burning my eyeballs when I walked into the swimming pool. So
terrible. I did not.
Yeah, it wasn't fun.
Lodge. It's cold in ours. Like, I don't know if it is in other ones, but like I shouldn't have to walk into an indoor water park and be cold.
Oh yeah, no, ours was lukewarm water.
Oh, so bad.
I know, right?
So bad.
I'm thinking about that in my head, and I'm like,
yeah,
ugh, yeah.
Nope.
Why is the water warm over here? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Kalahari ours is huge. I think it was the first one they ever built was ours.
Okay.
And then now there's 3 of them. Yeah, they have a huge convention center and a spa and all that kind of stuff. So
nice.
That's where the conference is this next week.
Cool. And you'll be on site there doing that, huh?
Yeah. Me and Jeremy are going to be giving a 4-hour training, and then I'm giving a talk too. My talk on Sysmon.
Okay.
And then I will be at ShmooCon just personally, and hopefully capturing some audio for this. And then there's another Rite of Boom There's a conference I'm going to actually in Texas.
Did you say
So,
right of boom?
Right of Boom. It's an MSP
Oh, you know what?
conference.
I have heard of this one. It's a
Yeah.
very much military. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Right of
So
boom. Yeah. Yeah.
booth duty for me.
Oh wow. Booth person, huh?
Yep.
That's cool.
With the
Okay.
sales guy and me. So
Very very cool. Okay. Rightofboom.com. There you go. Um, oh, it's at the gay. Okay, it's at the Gaylord. Okay, yet another resort place.
is
So
it?
it says Gaylord, Texas. A Texan. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see.
It's like
Lodging.
right near the airport.
Yeah, the Gaylord Texan Resort and Convention Center in Grapevine. Yeah, it's right next to the airport. That's in Texas, in the United States, right on the southern end of Grapevine Lake. Yeah, we've been there. That's a nice place. There's
Okay.
Great Wolf Lodge near there too.
Of course there is.
It's weird, super weird.
Nope.
Um, very cool. Okay, well, yeah. So yeah, we'll get this out, and it's probably is it too late for the Code Mash tickets?
I have no idea.
Okay. Well,
But
if you can,
honestly, a couple years, not a couple years ago, like 5 years ago, something like
yeah.
that, I went and just walked in. They don't have great security checking badges, so I just
Um.
went.
Okay. Um.
I have a badge now, though, so good.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good. So if you're in the area of Sandusky, Ohio, January 10th through the 13th, go grab that. So, anyway, Mr. Boettcher, what's going on with you? You gonna be giving any trainings or going to any conferences soon?
No, nothing on the books. I'm just reading this Google threat article that you
Yeah.
posted, the PDF, and
Yeah.
I'm interested in the backups. And I was expecting to read that hackers are attacking backups in order to steal information from the backups, because that, I mean, depending on what you back up, you could back up your entire company's emails. The CEO could
Mm-hmm.
be targeted,
Right.
and they would never touch like your Exchange environment, and your backups are sitting there, just owned 6 ways from Sunday. And they don't even mention stealing info from the backups. All they mention is deleting the backups and encrypting the backups.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, I was surprised at that.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right. Yeah.
but yeah, no,
Nothing.
nothing going on with me. Just work and family. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to be hitting any more conferences this year. Well, with us moving to San Diego, I do know that San Diego is, if they're not going to have it again in April and down in San Diego, then, they had it in October. So maybe I'll be able to hit it in 2023. Otherwise it'll, TorCon, I think is going to be happening down there. If not, that's why I'm having the Twitch stream, because, I can't go to conferences because, I have to work. So I'm bringing the InfoSec to me, not me going to the InfoSec. So I will be going to ISSA monthly meetings. Somebody invited me to come back, and I was like, oh, it's been a minute since I've been there. Probably about 4. And so I'm going to be at the ISSA meeting on the 19th, because they asked me to come back, and I was like, it's really weird. I haven't paid my dues. And they're like, oh, we just want to have you. And I'm like, okay. So I'm not going to be speaking. I'll just be there. But, and CSEC East, I've got 2 more, and then that'll be it. So
Yes.
that magical experiment will come to an end. Probably CSEC East will too. I haven't really gotten any real takers for the organization, so it'll just die at the end of March. So
That seems to happen a lot. It's hard to find people to take over stuff.
yeah,
I did have somebody take over Hacker Secret Santa though, and thank goodness, because I did not have it in me to do it this year.
Tom, yeah. It was Tom, Ginger Hacks.
Tom and a couple other people took it over. Yeah, there's three of them, I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
See, it's hard like that, because it's when you're an organizer, and I put my hat off to the ISSA and the ISC squared folks who actually do monthly things. Trying to do a monthly meetup, just trying to find a venue where people will show up and come and have dinner with me. That's difficult, and they've got to find a speaker every month, or they've got to
Right.
do something, So having been an organizer of a conference and knowing that I can't delegate for shit, that's another thing, It's like, yeah, I mean, I could have done better on the conferences. I just could not delegate for shit, and I realize that now. So, but yeah, and then when I get to San Diego, we'll be hopefully doing some other conferences and stuff. So
I'm even wearing my San Diego sweatshirt.
I got my Chargers shirt on because we're going to the playoffs.
Nice.
Yeah. Detroit's not winning against Green Bay right now. Sorry if you're streaming and you anyway. That's okay. I don't want the Packers.
Well, you didn't say the results. You just said, "Hey, they're down now."
Oh, good. Okay, no, they're not down now. The Lions just scored, so it's 19-16 with 5 minutes left. So I'm gonna go watch the end of that. So
all right.
Yeah, it's all good. So yeah, hope everyone has a good week. Thank you again, Mr. Boettcher, Ms. Berlin, starting our 9th year here on the show.
We're getting old.
Wow.
Yeah, we're getting old. Yep. Yeah, it was a different. It seems to be there's a lot more podcasts now than there. I mean, it's like they were all on Mastodon, just not advertising themselves. So, yeah, we're trying to decentralize podcast broadcasts or RSS feeds, and I was like, okay, yeah, good luck with that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, thank you both for being here, and I appreciate you. And yeah, hope we have continued success in the new year. So, I don't see anybody else. So, yeah, thanks to all the listeners, all the followers, everybody hanging out. If you want to join our Discord, you can go to discord.gg/Brakesec, or you can tweet out at Brakesec, send us a DM, and I'll add you to the Slack if you want to join us there. Both have their merits. If you like Slack, join the Slack. If you like Discord, join the Discord. If you don't like either one of them, well, I don't know what to tell you. So, but yeah, so we're, everywhere. We're on Twitter. We're on Mastodon, Bryan Brake at mastodon.social, and breakingsecurity.com, BRAKEING security.com. Ms. Berlin, how can people find you?
I don't know anymore. I'm not really on social anymore.
You know what I found since the breakup? I found out since the divorce. It's like I can't go to either one of them now. So yeah.
Yeah, like I'm on Mastodon and Twitter still. I still have it pulled up, but I'm not nearly as active as I used to be.
Yeah, that makes sense.
To be honest, which is fine because I need more time back in my life. So. Yep.
There we go. Yep. Okay. Well, normally Info Sister will be on the crawl at the end of the show. Yeah, Info Sister. And Mr. Boettcher, you're on Twitter, kinda?
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. You just follow them TTPs and the MyOCs and the threat and tells and
you got it.
Okay. Well, how would people find you if they wanted to, tweet out kudos to you?
At Boettcher Pwned. BOETTCHERPWNED.
Awesome. Okay.
And if anybody ever wants to rent an Airbnb on Lake Erie, just let me know.
Is that technically a sponsorship of the podcast?
No, because we've made no money yet. So, because we haven't closed. It'll be another month or two before we close. So,
but you'll pass the plate when that happens, right? When
sure.
We mentioned your Airbnb.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
right.
Oh yeah.
Excellent.
Oh yeah.
Percentage.
Cool. All right. Percentage. Yeah. Need a slight percentage for mentioning that. Yeah.
Finder's fee.
Yep.
Podcast hosts get a free night.
Ooh, nice.
Ooh. Yeah. That wouldn't be bad. Maybe if the Chargers were going up and playing the Browns or the Bengals, that might be worth it.
There you go.
Not the Browns, maybe definitely the Bengals in Cleveland. So, or Cincinnati. Oh shit! No, it is the Browns.
Not close. Yeah, be the Browns.
It is the Browns. The Elves. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Free night for me.
All right. There you go.
Very cool. All right. Well, so that was it for everybody this week. Breakdown Security. Have a great week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe. Hire somebody else to shovel your snow for you. And as always, take care of yourselves, because as we're very fond of saying around here, you're the only you have, and it's important to take care of yourselves during this time. Don't hesitate to reach out if you need a need a virtual shoulder or something like that. So, yeah, have a great week, and we'll talk soon. Bye, y'all.
Bye.